I assume there's people out in the audience that would desire to speak upon this bill. There'll be a sign-up sheet go up there, so please sign in your name, who you represent, and whether you're for or against it. I'll call the meeting of Regulated Industries Committee to order. We have several bills on the calendar. We're glad to have a crowd here today. Always good to have a lot of participation. If you hadn't signed in, you can continue to do that. We're going to go ahead and start the meeting. First on the agenda is a bill authored by Representative Tim Bearden. Representative Bearden, if you want to, you can do it from here at your desk.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The bill I'm asking the committee to consider today is House Bill 53, LC number 351991. What this bill does, we've had a problem where certified police officers that have their license or under the Peace Officers Standards and Training Act, they have a valid certification. When they go to work for a security company, under the law, they would have to go back to a security school. What this bill would allow is for those with a valid certification not to go through that training. That's all the bill does. It's just a little clarification. It does not allow them to start a business and license. It just exempts them from the training. And I ask for your favorable consideration on the bill.
Have any questions from a member of the committee? None. Does anyone desire to speak on this bill? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, like sign. Motion passes. Okay. We have two other bills on the agenda that have been withdrawn. House Bill 165 and 166. For some reason, decided not to hear today. Representative Powell requested that they be withdrawn, so we will not be hearing those. Last bill on the agenda is one I'm sure everybody's here wanting to hear and talk about, is House Bill 69, which I am the author. So at that time, Mr. Chairman, I'll turn it over to you and make presentations on House Bill 69. I think I'll do it from down there. Oh, we don't. Not yet. I think they have some people that. this gizmo is up here, so I'll have to do something with it, I guess. House Bill 69 is a bill that I think we've all been looking forward to, one way or the other, and I'd like to present it to you today. It involves the sale of alcohol by the package on Sundays by referendum. This is strictly a local issue, and it'll be up to the people to decide whether or not they would desire this to be. Without participation from the public, this bill is just nothing but sit on the books with no mandates of any kind. I put in your folder an article that I authored back in 2008, 3 years ago, about the fairness of this bill. And the fairness that I was concerned about, the lack of fairness, is the fact that we are allowed to sell alcohol by the drink at different restaurants and bars and so forth and so on. Yet we're denied the possibility of being able to go to a package store on Sunday and buy it by the package. We had this bill before the committee before, passed by unanimous vote. Got the rules, and we had a governor on the second floor who decided that he was against this bill. Number one, he didn't like referendums. He thought he ought to be able to make the decision, which he did. He authorized a sale, or got a bill he supported for the Gwinnett Stadium to sell beer on Sunday, but yet he would not allow this bill to go forward, which I think was very unjust. The bill itself, House Bill 69, is a bill allowing Sunday sales of the package by referendum. There are two criteria under this bill. Number one is allowed, in other words, before you can act on this, it has to be legal to sell alcohol in the community, the cities, of the counties. Without that, they have no opportunity to vote on this bill until it is legal for each city and county to allow alcohol to be sold. There's two conditions under it. One is that if the cities or counties authorized to sell beer and wine, we'll have an opportunity by referendum to vote only on those two. If the distilled spirits is not in the bill, in your legal area, then of course you wouldn't be allowed to vote on that. So it would be a referendum for for those two particular items, beer and wine. The bill calls the original bill. We would serve from 12:30 p.m. until 11:30. Now I have an amendment proposed that I would hope you would vote for. We got with the Senate to talk about some issues that they had at that time that was a little different than the bill that we have. So what I'm trying to do is to get it in a committee substitute, whereas once it leaves here, goes to the Senate, they will adopt the rules that they talked about, and that way we don't have to get this bill going back and forth between the two bodies. So the first issue will be a change that I would ask you to vote on later on, from 12:30 p.m. to midnight, which makes a little bit of sense, or that 30-minute gap between 11:30 and 12. And once you get past 12, you don't have Sunday sales anymore. You're on Monday now, so yeah, it makes good sense. The other part of the bill, if alcohol, distilled spirits, wine, and beer are authorized in your community, city, or county, then the referendum will call that you vote for all three of those on the bill. So you've got a choice. If it has not been legal for distilled spirits, you would have to get it voted legally to sell it during the week to be able to take advantage of this bill that we've got today. There's another amendment, I think, that we've got. On line 26 and 70, it indicates that there's been a lot of concern about the hours of operation, whether it was mandated that you stay open these period of time. It would be up to the election superintendent then to decide what hours you could operate. You can't You can't go beyond liberalize it, but you can be more restrictive. So it's a very simple bill, straightforward. There's no mandates to it. It's up to the local community to decide. It will be done by a local referendum. And I'll be glad to answer any questions about the bill. I think everybody here on the committee, I'm pretty sure, is familiar with it, except for our newcomers, and I hope they understand. Any questions?
Anybody on the committee have any questions for the chairman? Yes. Mr. Representative Martin.
Mr. Chairman, thank you for taking a minute, and I'll take a minute of the committee's time. I just want to be real clear again. This doesn't require a community to hold a referendum. It does not require a mayor or city council or a county commission to even have a hearing on holding a referendum. Is that not true?
That's correct. There is no mandate in this bill whatsoever. It's not incumbent upon the local authorities to call it. It'll be up to them to decide whether or not they want to have a referendum on it. So it's strictly no mandates in it whatsoever.
There's nothing in this bill that says if they fail to act, you can have Sunday sales. I know that to be the fact, but for everyone, there is, believe it or not, after all of the confusion, I am new to your committee this year and appreciate serving on it. But there is still that confusion out there in the public where there's rumors and gossip, if you will, going around that if someone fails to act, it goes into place. That is not what this legislation says today, and I don't believe it's what it ever said.
No, sir, it never did, and that's exactly why we want it. Thank goodness we've got a governor now that's open-minded about it. He has indicated that he does not drink, but he is for democracy, and he would favor as long as it's controlled locally, and I feel good about that. I think he's a great governor, got a lot of common sense, and I really appreciate his remarks about that. I just ask that we vote this out positive and let it go to be put on the books to be voted on, voted for or against. I mean, there'll be people that are opposed to it, and certainly that's their privilege, but at least give the people a right to decide this issue.
One more question, Chairman Cooper.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry that I was late. I was in rules. And I just have one question, and I'm trying to read it quickly. This would allow the jurisdictions to put it on a referendum whenever they wanted to hold a referendum. Is that correct? We didn't put any. It's in Code Section 21.2.
And that was this legislative chair. It was on odd number.
In Code Section 21-2-540, it specifically mandates the different time frames in which an election may be held, and that's true for these types of elections throughout the state on a regular basis. So that's already in law, 21-2-540, and they would have to be conducted on those particular dates.
Okay. Are they when the other big elections are held? I mean, there's a big discussion going on in our county over calling for a SPLOST on an odd date. So that's why I'll check with her afterwards. I'm in favor of the bill. If people didn't want Sunday sales, I think they should have never allowed it in restaurants and bars on Sunday. They sort of let the cat out of the bag. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Any other questions from the committee? All right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have a few people that have signed up to testify. We'll start with Mr. Ray Newman. Mr. Newman.
Thank you very much. I'm Ray Newman. I'm with the Georgia Baptist Convention, and today I stand to represent Dr. J. Robert White, who is our Executive Director of the Georgia Baptist Convention, and the leadership of our convention, who believe that we would like to see this bill defeated for the reason that we've continued to see encroachment on the Lord's Day with all of these kinds of issues that we have faced. And indeed, the cat is out of the bag, and we're seeing this happen across our state, and there's great concern in regard to what this will do, even when we come down to the local level. The fact that those who feel the other way and feel like that we need to stop the encroachment on this day that they could be, of course, outvoted. And it's not that we're trying to close them out. We all have our opinion about this, and our feeling is that this is something that needs to stop at this point. You are a regulated industries committee, and I know that you are very much aware of that. And alcohol is a regulated industry in our state. And so we're asking that, and the position has never changed in the Georgia Baptist Convention, as among our 3,600 churches and over 1 million members, not that we're speaking for them, but the leadership of our convention at this time, and has for as long as I know anything about our history, has always stood very strongly on these issues, and feel very confident that we're taking the stand that we should take, and we want to encourage you to consider our feeling and our thinking about this. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Next person on the list is Kathy Kazava.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. My name is Kathy Kazava, and I'm president of the Georgia Food Industry Association. And we represent over 150 grocery stores across the state, grocery stores across the state, which include mom and pop independents to Walmart, Kroger's, and the large stores. And those stores employ over 150 employees across the state. And we're here today in support of Chairman Williams' bill. We definitely believe and appreciate the questions that have come up this morning that this is a local bill. It is a local option bill that is only leveling the playing field. It is making our grocers, it's an economic, the economic impact for our retailers is only making the playing field fair. Restaurants currently have the ability to allow the people to decide in their communities, and we're just asking for the same thing. We appreciate this. Our grocers are very, very frustrated. We're in the customer service business, and as grocers trying to give customer service, it's very frustrating to our employees, to our grocers, and our employees when we're not able to do so. So we're asking you today to please handle this bill like we always do. We do with answering the questions fairly, making the issue fair, and understanding that this truly is a local issue. I appreciate it, and with that, I'd like to invite my vice chairman up to the podium, and that's Horace Hamilton with Kroger. Do we have any questions for me today?
Any questions from the committee for Ms. Kazava?
Appreciate the committee. Thank you.
Mr. Hamilton?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you for a moment this morning. I speak on behalf of my company, but I also speak on behalf of my customers. On a typical Sunday in a busy store, we may have as many as 50 to 100 or perhaps even more customers who are denied the opportunity to purchase beer or wine. It's very easy to see the impact of that if you go into a busy Kroger store or any other retail store on a Sunday afternoon and see how much beer and wine there is that has been refused. Customers have been refused the opportunity to make that purchase. They don't understand why. They tell us they don't understand why. This is a matter, firstly, of customer service for us. Whatever success we're able to enjoy comes as a result of our ability to provide service to our customers. And in this particular case, we are required to deny them the service that they request of us. So from that perspective, we would appreciate a favorable vote. Secondarily, it's a matter of economic fairness. As Chairman Williams very adequately and appropriately described, we are at a disadvantage to restaurants. 50% of a consumer's food dollar is spent in restaurants. On Sunday, which is 1/7 of the week, we are at a significant disadvantage to that half of a customer's food dollar when it comes to their decisions about purchasing beer and wine. Also, our border counties, every state that surrounds Georgia offers the opportunity for consumers to purchase off-premise beer and wine. Georgia does not, so our stores that are in those border communities are at a disadvantage to other retailers that are in surrounding counties. Our operating costs continue on Sunday just as they do the other 6 days of the week, but a very large portion of our stores sits idle on Sunday. We think that that's a matter of economic fairness that needs to be addressed, and we would appreciate that if you would address that. We have 25% of our customers who shop on Sunday, and fully 10% of those customers shop only on Sunday. For many reasons they shop only on Sunday, but in many cases it's because both breadwinners in the family work during the week, and Sunday's the only day that they have the opportunity to get out and go shopping. If we deprive them the opportunity to complete their shopping on Sunday, then they have to make some arrangements to go on a day that's inconvenient for them. We've heard from many, many customers about how they wish that they would be able to complete their shopping on Sunday for all of the items that they wish to purchase. I appreciate your consideration and the opportunity to speak for my company, my industry, and most particularly for the customers that we hear from in so many communities. And I would certainly request your favorable consideration of this bill. Thank you.
Hold on just a second, Mr. Hamilton. Does anybody from the committee have any questions for Mr. Hamilton? Representative Martin.
Mr. Hamilton, would you entertain a question?
Surely.
Do you mind? I just would like to ask, if you talk about how important this is to your stores, are your stores willing to go with the voice of the community? I guess what I'm asking, if this is passed statewide in Georgia for the referendum to take place, clearly, at least in my opinion, there will be some communities that adopt this, others will not. I guess I'm looking, and you can only speak maybe perhaps for your organization, certainly not everyone else, but I would hope that through all of the discussion that's been centered around this bill over the years, that if this passes and local communities hold these referenda and action is taken, that we wouldn't see the industry back in a number of years asking this committee, this body, this legislature to override the will of the people. I would just throw that out as a question. You feel good in conversations with your industry that they will, some Krogers will be able to sell. Up in my area, there are Krogers within 2 miles of each other, one in the city of Alpharetta and one in the city of Roswell. One may approve it, the other may not. I don't want to get here personally. I don't want to hear a fairness issue before this committee if we allow the committees to or the communities to speak and they do so. Do you think that is something your stores will take to heart and live with what the people say?
Yes.
Any other questions from the committee? Mr. Hamilton, real quick, you mentioned something very briefly that I heard you state in the Senate hearing, and I want to make sure I heard you correctly. You say 25% of all of your customers shop on Sunday in your stores. Is that correct?
That's correct.
That's a pretty large number for one particular day.
And 10% shop only on Sunday.
Okay, thank you very much. Next person on the list is Mr. Kyle Jackson.
Morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Hopefully you all have in front of you a letter from my organization. My name is Kyle Jackson. I'm the state director for NFIB here in Georgia. We represent about 8,000 small employers around the state. We actually balloted this issue as per our legislative process in 2010 and had almost 2/3 of our members come back in support of the issue. So I won't belabor the point. I would ask that you favorably pass this bill out of your committee. Be happy to take any questions you have.
Any questions from the committee? Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
The last person on the list is no stranger to this committee, Mr. Jim Tudor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Jim Tudor, President of the Georgia Association of Convenience Stores. I know time is pressing, so just a couple of things I'd like to address real quickly. To Chairman Martin's question regarding local control, as you know, the legislation that would allow communities to decide on on-premise sales has been on the books for over 14 years now. And there are large areas of Georgia which have never put the issue on the ballot, never will, and that truly is local control. The businesses that are there recognize that, and so I hope that's very, very clear. This is totally just like the on-premise legislation as it relates to letting people decide what they believe is appropriate for their area. And this is very, very key. Beyond that, I think everyone knows this issue. It truly sometimes gets portrayed as an alcohol issue, but no sales, let me repeat, no sales occur with the passage of this legislation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chitter. Are there any questions from the committee?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. That is all of the speakers on our list. For the committee, is there any discussion about the bill before we take up the matter of the amendment? Okay, I think it might be appropriate. We have an amendment on our desk. It's AM 360236. Is there a motion to adopt this amendment into House Bill 69, LC 361707? There's a motion and a second. Any discussion on the amendment? Representative Cooper. No question. No other questions? All right, yes. Representative Chairman Bearden.
I've been a little bit confused. Are we working off of the substitute, which is LC 361746S, which already has this language?
No, sir, we're not. Right, we're moving to adopt the amendment into the main bill.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Representative Martin?
Yeah, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman. I got the amendment late. The amendments normally refer to even a LC number. We are amending the original bill, LC 361707.
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Right, I understand. I think the chairman wanted to actually adopt the amendment instead of using a committee substitute, use the original bill. Okay, so we have a motion and a second for the amendment. Is there any further discussion on the amendment? Hearing none, all those in favor of adopting Amendment 360236, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Amendment is adopted. We'll now take up the matter of House Bill 69, that's again LC 361707 as amended. Is there any further discussion on the main bill? All right. Hearing none, I'd like to recognize Representative Mitchell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The issue before us is simply this. Are we going to give Georgians the right to decide whether or not their community's groceries, convenience, and package stores can join their community's bars, restaurants, and certain athletic venues in selling alcohol on Sundays? And for that reason, I believe that the majority of Georgians certainly want the right for their voices to be heard. And for that reason, I'm going to make a motion that we do pass this bill.
There's a motion to pass House Bill 69. Is there a second? Second. As amended. There is a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of passing House Bill 69 as amended, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion leaves this committee with due pass. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Should we adopt as a committee substitute or the bill out as amended? Committee sub, okay. Any further business to come before the committee? If not, I declare this meeting adjourned.